Okay, I got it clamped together, just dry fitted. You know, you're going to want to make sure that this thing's going to go together before you start throwing glue on, and it did. It went together real nice. All my dados and tongue and groove, I guess I'll call it, went together great. And the one thing I do want to show you is that when I go to put together a project like this, I like to have something underneath it to bring it up off the table. So I'm lucky enough to have a couple extra pieces of extrusion. I have one on each end, and that gives me access underneath here for my clamps, so I don't have to fight them. I'm not using these as my reference surface. This here is what I'm using, one on each end. So it brings everything into plane, and then it also gives me an idea how many clamps I need to use. But the one thing it does give you is, if I can show you here quick, is the ability to run these clamps in and out. If I'm in the middle, I can run a clamp in. You know, if I have another one someplace, I can quickly tighten it up and not have to fight it if I was using the clamp itself as something to hold my project up off the table. So I'm ready to go, except for the one thing. I need to trim the length of my three main pieces, my sides and my back. Take about 1/2 inch off the bottom of both of those, or all three of those, and then make my decorative cut on the bottom as well, or the sides, the bottom of the sides. So let me get things torn apart, and we'll get ready to rock and roll on that. Just made myself a pattern out of this scrap piece of hardboard I had, and I used my French curve, laid it out this way, after drawing a bit of a straight line right here off of my reference point. So what this is going to allow me to do now is I'm going to lay out the line, and then I will be able to take a utility knife and scribe that line, so that when I use my jigsaw I don't get any tear out. And I'll stay away from the line, but that'll give me a place where, and when I scribe it, actually I'll stay on this side of the line so that I can sand to it. I'll stay this way of the line, and that'll give me a place for it to break. So I can take now I can take this, flip my side over here, and line it up this way. I'm gonna get my 1.5 inch mark. I gotta bring that up here. Hang on one second. All right, I wrap my mark around so that I can use that as my reference point. And that's all I'm doing, is I'm just tracing this out. And there we go. I'll carefully scribe that and do the same thing on the other side. Then get my jigsaw out and go to work on this after I scribe it. Okay. Get my jigsaw out and we'll see how this turns out. I've actually put a metal blade in here. I'm going to see how this, I'll cut a piece of scrap off here first and see what happens. Not too bad. Bottom side looks pretty good too. Might not have needed to do this scribing, but I'm glad I did. So we'll give it a go here. Alright, we'll sand that off. You could see as I was scrolling in, you can even see it right there. The veneer is breaking off right where I scribed it. That looks good. I'll get a drum sander out here and sand that off. And I'll do my other one the same way. That's it. She's ready to be glued up. She's ready to be glued up after I do some light sanding on these. I'm going to hit both all the panels with some 220 on my half sheet sander. Alright, this took me a little while to figure out. But if you remember, you saw me sanding that edge with my crumb sander. That was the wrong thing to do. So I ended up making a template as close as I could. Then double-sided, using double-sided tape, I stuck it to this, and then just cleared, just cleaned this edge up with a flush trim bit so that I had a square edge. And now I can get my piece of homemade laminate, cherry laminate, to fit in there. I've got some tiny little gaps here and there, but overall I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it apart and show you this. And then this is the other part of that jig. I also made this piece to match as best I could to my other setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this together with wood weld, which will fill the gaps a little bit, and it will also be sandable and stainable. So I think that will give me a better looking finished edge. So let me mix up some stuff and put it on here, and then we'll see how she goes together. Alright, I forgot to turn the camera on. Maybe I can catch the next one. You get into that. This stuff sets up a lot quicker, a lot faster than glue. So I got pretty good fill here across it. I won't know until I take the clamps off, I guess. But the one thing I do know is I will make a bigger batch next time. So I make sure I get squeeze out. I got good squeeze out on the back and a little bit on the front here, and then just in a few places, kind of hit and miss here, there, along there, squeeze out. I don't know if it's coming out the back side, but once I take it apart, I'll be able to tell for sure what's going on. But I'll give this about a good hour anyway to set up. And then we'll come back and take the clamps off and go to work on the second one if this works out. Okay, it's been about an hour and a half. Let's see if she holds. It looks good so far. A little sanding. Hopefully this thing comes off. Oh, I might have welded that thing on there. Grab my mallet. There we go. Yeah, that looks good. All the way down to the table, the work table. So I'll trim this off, sand it a little bit, then we'll take a look at it. Okay, it turned out pretty well. You can see there are just little tiny gaps, not too bad though. I think once I get some stain on there, that'll all just blend in. Got just a little tiny gap right there. Not much, but that I think would have been much better had I had more glue on there. That two-part wood filler, wood weld is what it's called. Otherwise, it looks good. I'm pleased with the way that turned out. So I'm going to do the other side and This time hopefully I'll have the camera rolling when I get down to doing some other stuff. So a little sanding. I gotta flush this up right here a little bit. That won't take anything at all. This one I was on the bottom. I was able to flush up with just the saw, but here I can catch that with a good sharp chisel. All right, let me get to work on the second one. Well, I shut the camera off there because I had a few choice things to say. My template slipped. So I got a little gouge right there. But when I put my piece on there, I'll have enough filler, I hope, to take care of that. And no one will notice. So we'll give it a shot here. See my little mistake right there. Not so little in my book. What I've done though is I put this about this much of the wood veneer underwater so that it didn't crack when I made that sharp bend. You can see here I tried it once and it broke off right here. But luckily I had enough to finish that off. So I'm going to let that take shape for a little while. I'm going to clean some things up, and when we come back that should be ready to go. Okay, looks good. We'll have to let it sit and cook a while. You'd be hard pressed to do this operation on any other kind of work table. I got it clamped to the table on the end up there with a couple of Bessie Rapid Action, which keeps it in place as I apply the force with the Festool clamps this way, and then my Bessie clamp is just up on top. But I would never have been able to do this on my other workbench. There's no way. So nice table, nice work table, ultimate work table, and it's paying off right now. Well, I've got all my panels sanded and put back into my two sides where I don't have the back on. But as you're looking at this, I'm imagining what it's going to be like to finish this if I glue it up now. I'll be reaching in through here, you know, or if the back was back here, I'd be reaching in like this, putting finish on. Yeah, there's room, but if it's laying down, then everything's going to run to the back, and then you got to get into these corners and get that cleaned up. They're all just flat panels going together, and well, I think for the first time I've ever done this, I'm going to pre-finish my stuff here and take them all and do them all on the flats. And just I want to take my pencil here and just draw light lines this way. And that will be my no-go zone. The top, I don't have to worry about the top because this is open. So I'll finish this whole thing here. And the bottom, I've got that to do as well. The back will be fitting in from here this way. So this will be unfinished, and I want this to be a glue surface. So the back will just be everything that's flat, and then I won't be doing any of the dados. I'll have to mark these lines on my back panel where these shelves hit those dados. I'll have 3 locations just to be watching and being careful around. So I think all in all it won't be too bad. I've got to leave the front alone because that's going to get a face frame. And other than that, she's pretty much ready to go. So I think what I'm going to do is finish this now. That'll give it time to dry and cure while I'm working on some of the other stuff. Doing some video editing, I can make parts. So I'm going to give it a shot and we'll see what happens. This is my last shelf. I want to show you how I've been doing this. I'm taking my rag, and I've got a semi-dry rag now, but I'm following it right up as soon as I can, especially when I get near these edges. Not this edge because there's no tape there, but this one here. I'm drying that off as quick as I can. And filling in the balance of the shelf here. And I'm not letting this soak in that much, as you can see here. Trying to get a good blend. Now, once you get out in the middle way, you can pretty much go. But when the rag is wet, that's when I start in the middle and kind of let it dry itself out, and then I start taking it toward the edge. Okay. Well, I call that good. And I can go to work on these large panels. You can see I got a nice clean edge there. All the way around, actually. So that's nice. All right, I won't bore you with the rest of these. I'm just going to keep staying in here.